and this applies to anybody of any color and any background, the complete demoralization and disempowerment that comes with being told you're a victim. Because once you think you're a victim, you perceive yourself as powerless. Some outside force that you think is victimizing you has control over your life. But only if you let it. You know, I was born into a council house in Leicester in 1952. And we lived in what would have been called, especially in the early part of my childhood, in a deprived situation. I remember hiding behind the sofa with my mum when the rent man knocked on the door because we couldn't pay. And when he'd knocked on the door and they got no answer, he'd come to the window and look through the window. That's why we were hiding behind the sofa until he went. I was going around the back of the factory on a Thursday, holding my mum's hand to get that week's wages so we could eat that night. Now, I did not see myself as deprived, and you know, people said to me in that situation. I remember it's said to me from time to time as I grew up, know your class, know your class, know where you've come from. Well, I never bought that. Because I've never bought class. And I've never bought being a victim. Oh, look, poor me. Of course, that is the end. Because you are acknowledging you have no power. So I never bought that I had a deprived background economically. Certainly wasn't deprived in any other way. I never bought the idea that I was a certain class. I didn't buy any of that shite. And I set about building my life on the basis of my own efforts and my own direction that I wanted to go. And it's possible to do that. It's possible for anyone to do that. But it's impossible if you think you're a victim and someone else is the cause of your situation. Now, the system is rigged. And it's not rigged against black people. It's rigged against the great majority of all people. That's why the 1% is the 1%. That's why a handful of men own the equivalent of the wealth owned by the poorest half of the world population. Because the system's rigged. But if you you look at that and you say they're in control, they're in charge, there's nothing we can do, then they're going to be in charge and there's nothing we can do. But why are they the 1% and the rest of us not? Because we have systematically, generation after generation after generation, given our power away to them. We have acquiesced to them, generation after generation after generation, of all colors and creeds. And what's happened is every time we've acquiesced, we've given them more power, we've given ourselves less. And it reaches the point where we have conceded so much of our power that it's in the hands of the few who then recycle it back against us. And so this word acquiescence is absolutely key. If you acquiesce to the fact that you're a victim, you'll be a bloody victim. If you acquiesce to what authority tells you without question or challenge, you'll just be a slave of the system. what has happened during this lockdown, this whole coronavirus? Vast numbers of people have acquiesced to the tiny few that is dictating this and dictating this fine detail of what you can do and what you can't do. And you know what it's all about? You know, you've got these situations where they've come out with rules that, well, you can see your one parent in a park, but you can't see them in the garden because you might have to go through the house. Yeah, okay. You can see one parent in the park, and then you can see another parent, but you can't see them together. One grandparent, not together. And you look at all these rules and fine detail. You've got to wear a mask where the pores are much bigger than viral particles, so they're a waste of bloody time anyway, and you'll be breathing in your own carbon dioxide and not oxygen, so that's going to have respiratory consequences if it goes on for long enough. And you know what they're going to do when those respiratory consequences happen? They're going to call it COVID-19. All these things, what are they doing? It's a psychological game. They know that the more ridiculous things they can tell you to do, which you then do and acquiesce to, the more acquiescent you are becoming, step by step by step, to the point where you no longer have a capacity for free thought. You just do whatever you're told, like some automaton. And this is what is happening. You've got to wear masks on public transport, on trains, on ferries, on buses. Okay. What if a carriage full of people on a train? So we ain't doing it. We ain't doing it. What are you going to do? Call the guard. Call the guard. Guard comes down. Got to have masks on. We're not going to put them on. What's he going to do? What's anybody going to do if enough people say we're not doing it? The power of this cult through the generations to present time, the power of this 1% is merely the power humanity acquiesces to them constantly. This is how it works. You've got the cult in the shadows, and they operate through the permanent governments, the financial system, the medical system, the governmental system, the media system, etc. And as it comes down the hierarchy, you reach the level of administering into reality what the cult has dictated. And apart from the very, very high ups of this administrative level of this hierarchical pyramid, they won't even know there is a cult. But each level both takes and acquiesces to the diktats above them and imposes that upon those below them, who then acquiesce and pass it on and impose it on the next level. And so it all the way comes down. That's the administrative level. And then it comes down to the massive population, billions of people. And what the vast majority of them do is then take this hierarchical system of top-down acquiescence and imposition, and they acquiesce to what they're told. If they didn't do that, if they ask questions like, who benefits? Well, actually, you benefit. I don't benefit from doing this. You benefit. So what's the game? Why do you want me to do this? What's in it for you? Instead of doing that, you just acquiesce. You just do it. But if we didn't acquiesce to it, if we said we're not going to allow our kids to be put in chalk circles or locked off small areas alone, disconnected from all the other kids, we're not doing it. Our kids ain't going to school until that crap is finished. What would they have to do? They'd have to stop it. But people don't. Fortunately, a vast number of people have looked at the world in its extreme expression in the last few months, and they've actually seen, the world is not like I thought it was, and there has been an awakening. But that's only step one. You can stand on the other side of the street, and you can start to understand the game, and you can start to see the game on the other side of the street, and you can start to work out what's happening and why they're doing this and why they're doing that. But that's step one. Step two is crossing the road.